to get in here. Oh, mine's just the
Just
IFL.
IFL, mate. Just IFL. Andrew McCart, IFL. Just staying in as well. Andrew McCart, IFLTV. Delighted to be joined by Maxi Hughes. Maxi, we're here in Monaco. Beautiful, beautiful spot. Man, have you ever been here before?
No, first time.
First time?
Maybe my last time, unless I get invited back on a fight night, because it's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but everything's just too expensive for me. I've had a little walk with my missus yesterday, and we're like, it's not a place for kids, and I don't think I'd come back. I'm just not flashy enough or willing to spend enough money. Beautiful place, clean, people have been great, but yeah, unless I'm fighting here again, maybe not come back. So I'll make sure I enjoy it while I'm here.
Definitely enjoy it. Well, listen, I want to go straight to that weigh-in, man. That is probably... I don't think it's out of character for you, but it seems like when you touched his chin and I couldn't quite hear what was said. Eddie said that you're going to knock that beard off his chin or something like he can quite hear you as well. What did you say at that weigh-in?
Firstly, obviously, I know he's a big guy, so I know how much he struggles. You know, just seeing him struggle to put his socks on, I was like, what is he doing here? He must have been really severely dehydrated there, where I was struggling. And I think I said, something about his drink. You know, you couldn't wait to get hold of that, could you? And then I said, that chin, the point, that beard is not going to protect your chin. I don't know if that's the reason why he grows it so long. And I just called him a punch bag. Says, you're going to be a punch bag tomorrow. But yeah, I'm fired up for it. You know, a lot of people have said that in the build-up, a little bit of a change of character in the press conference. But I'm just fired up. You know, no majors changed in my life. I'm hungry for success. You know, it's been obviously the Williams-Apida fight didn't go well, but it's not knocked my spirits or out like that. If anything, it's made me hungrier. And my last fight, which you were there for, I finished it very well, but I just wasn't happy with the performance, and I think it was a lack of fire in that fight because, you know, no discredit to Staffios, because that kid come and give it me, and he were a big, strong lad, and he could seriously punch. You know, but even though that was an off night and the thing, I didn't quite have that fire in my belly for that fight. I did end up getting paid for it, but before the fight, I thought I was taking that fight for note. You know, luckily Lou DeBella after the fight, he says, I can't have you fight for note. I'll pay you a little bit of something. But again, you know, like, I need a win. It's like going to work. Somebody saying, I'm going to send you to work. You're not going to get paid, but you might get a good job off at back of it if you do a good job. You know, that fire wasn't quite there, but saying that, still...
You're getting paid here, right?
Yeah, still get paid here. So I still managed to switch on and finish the show. You know, use my experience and my ability and finish the show. But after that, I was like, you know, that fight were on Friday. I was back in gym, not just ticking over Monday. I was training like I had a fight. And then luckily the phone rang not long after that for this fight. I was like, perfect. That is a fight that gives me that fire. That dog inside me in here, he's hungry. So yeah, I think that's why I'm just up for it, bang up for it, and I want the victory bad.
Well, obviously, your gym mate Reece Mould and Gary have fought in Dublin. You were out there. Obviously, a lot of people, including yourself, probably thought that Reece should have got the nod out in Dublin that time. Is that added the fire in your belly, the fact that your gym mate didn't get the nod that time? Because there seems to be a little bit of animosity between him and Reece, and I think sort of like now because he's your gym mate, have you piggybacked off that to get yourself fired up? And plus, this fight was 4 years in the making. You was meant to fight Gary 4 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, well, the you know, if you look at the fight post, it had never happened anyway, because it was April 2020 when everybody were locked down, so it had never happened. But yeah, for some reason, obviously it was going to be an MTK show. MTK didn't revisit or look to remake that. Instead, when we could fight, they put me against John O'Carroll, then Victor, and then the Paul Island fight for British. So they, for whatever reason, we were both under MTK and they kept us separate. But the fight's come back round now. I haven't had to use Reece to get up. What happened to Reece to get up for this fight? I'm up for it enough, but that with Reece, how they sort of treat him, you know
Who treat him?
not. I don't think Gary and his team really did out, but it just seemed set up for Gary. Obviously, I believe Reece won that fight along with everybody else who watched it, including Eddie. There's a message on Reece's phone, which Cully probably won't like to read, off his own promoter saying, "Look, mate, you won that fight. Would love to work with you and get you an opportunity." So that was the message days after. So yeah, and just I felt like even though Reece was in that fight as the champion, they treat him like the challenger, the ring walk and just like that. But Reece just got his business head on and he said, "I'm just going to fight, forget the nonsense, what's going off. I'm just going to get my head focused." And I thought he should have won that fight. So yeah, there's a little bit of that where I want to get revenge for Reece because he were hard done by and they stole his belt. So I can give Reece his belt back Saturday. That'll be good. And there's also the added bit for me is there's another 2 fights with Matchroom next year. So
I was going to say that there is that carrot at the end of this
yeah,
fight, isn't there?
exactly that. Much to my wife's dismay, she loved me to retire, and we've spoke about it. But I said, while I feel good and I'm still performing, I'm so sorry, but I'm carrying on. And this does it. Get the job done Saturday. There's another potential 2 big fights. So we've just had plans approved on house. So I'm saying, how else am I going to pay for it?
You got to keep fighting till you're 40, Maxi.
Yeah.
Gary Cully is a very unique fighter in the sense that you mentioned his height and he's southpaw against southpaw. Sometimes they negate each other, but especially somebody that's probably what you 5'7", 5'8", Maxi.
Yeah.
And he's 6'2". How have you managed to get somebody in for sparring to mimic Gary Cully, because it is like a unique sort of situation that you're going up against? Because have you fought anyone of Gary's size before in the past?
In amateurs, I fought some tall kids, not as much as a pro. Or James Fryers was quite a tall kid, an unbeaten Belfast lad. Paul Ireland, he's a pretty tall kid, but yeah, nobody.
I don't think they're close to 6 foot.
Nobody's a 6'2" kid, but I think he's all right saying I'm big. Yeah, but you struggle to make weight, pal. It's all right saying I can make weight. Can you perform at that weight? And I think that's why his performances of late have not been astonishing. Like you look at when he was boxing the weaker kids, he was steamrolling them. I think maybe because they looked at his height and they were like, I don't know what to do against somebody this tall. So he just flattened them, and that created the hype train. As soon as he got flattened by Felix, somebody who could fight a bit and wasn't intimidated by his size, flattened him. Reece was unlucky. He scraped through with Patera, who's a good European level kid. So again, with my experience, his Cully's certainly no William Zepeda. That is a unique style. What he's got is a southpaw, and he's an absolute machine. I know that didn't go my way, but I shared 4 rounds with him. I never got put down. But yeah, and I know he's a 6'2" southpaw, but my last couple of years I've boxed quite a lot. Zepeda, Kid Galahad, Ryan Wall switched a bit, Straffon, John O'Carroll. They're good high level southpaws. They haven't got that height, but the footwork and being used to a southpaw. We've had obviously kids in who were tall southpaws to spar to help me prep. And again, you can never get somebody exactly like your opponent. The same way Gary can't get anybody exactly like me. We just have to prepare the best we can with what we've got.
You said you're going to knock him out, or words to that effect, at the press conference. Confident you can do that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't think people give me the props for being a big hitter. Because I think it's just because I find boxing so easy. My style, boxing, moving, being slick, that comes so natural and so easy to me. It's almost like a bit of I'll just do this is easy. I can, look at Straffon and Ryan Walsh, 24 rounds there that I pretty much won every round by just doing what I do natural. So it come that easy. You know, I had to mix things up a little bit with Kid Galahad because he was also very, very clever. But I still managed to, you know, do what I needed to do to get the win. But yeah, with what we've seen of Gary and what we believe I can do to him, I strongly believe, you know, he won't see the final bell.
Obviously, we spoke about that Carrot, that 2-fight. You mentioned it at the press conference. You've mentioned it in that interview. Obviously, this is definitely a Sunday morning question for you, but have you thought about that in terms of who in this lightweight division you'd like to face after Gary and where you want to go with these 2 fights?
I'd tell Eddie because he's got the fight with Shakur, which is confirmed with Floyd Schofield, isn't it?
Yes, it's in February 22nd.
Yeah, but I don't know the reliability of Floyd Schofield. You know, I don't know that. So, you know, I will be telling Eddie, if anything goes wrong with that Schofield, I will be ready. You know, put my name at the top of the list of reserves for that fight because I stay in the gym anyway. So, you know, getting the win Saturday, you know, although it is Christmas, I will still be training. I will still be working hard. So if there's a chance of that, I just want the big fights. The big fights, obviously, there's the Cambosos potential now that he's with Matchroom. And I know he's said he's going up to 140. That is a fight I would step up.
You chase him to 140?
Yeah, I'm happy to keep my career at 135 because I don't, you know, I'm good at the weight. But for that, I would venture up. You know, there's not many I would venture up for, but that one certainly. But we'll see. Again, as I've said this before, I don't want to get in the way of a business deal like I did with him versus Lomachenko. You know, a few people who's in the know said that fight would probably be made before you fought George. So unless you knocked him out, he will get in the win, which, you know, it seems we how dodgy those scorecards were. So again, although it might all changing now that Liam Paro's got beat, because that looked like the business deal that were going to be made. George v Paro for the world title, big all-Australian showdown. And I said to a few people who mentioned it, I was like, I ain't making myself a victim again. So unless, you know, that's not on the cards and it is a genuine fight between me and George, then, you know, we'll see.
I mean, there's more to this fight than just getting that belt back, that belt for there seems to be a lot of variables to it. Obviously, there's Gary Cully, 4 years ago, is meant to have happened. Reece Small thing, the Carrot at the end of it, there's 2 fights, the Shakur Stevenson possibly rematch with Cambosos. I mean, you're fighting for a lot more than just fighting for that belt against Gary Cully on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm fighting for my career to be in big fights. You know, that's what it comes down to. I'm doing it for me. You know, as much as, you know, a lot of fighters say this is for me and my family. It is, but we're solid as a family, you know. If I retire, my wife's career and her job, they can support us as a family. Obviously, what I bring to the table in terms of the big fights is great, but, you know, we don't rely on it. But it's great. So, you know, I'm doing this for me, you know, because a lot of fighters who've, you know, I'm in my 15th year now as a pro, you know, 20 years fighting, I've been at it. So it's a long time, but I feel good.
There's not one grey hair on your beard or in your hair, mate.
No,
you're doing well.
There's a few ginger ones actually. It's surprising, but I feel good. If I didn't feel good and I wasn't performing and I were, you know, struggling with fights, I would look at calling it a day. You know, I will have that honest conversation with myself. But while I'm performing in gym, you know, or when we do hill sprints, we've got young Kian, just turned 17, absolutely fit as a fiddle, and he pushes me to wire, but I can still just pip him. And I'm like, this old dog's still got that fight in me. So while I can still compete with these young'uns, you know, I'm very much still going to be fighting, you know, for me, for my own career, for my own selfish enjoyment.
No, well, listen, fair play to you, man. If you're still performing at the top level and you're still enjoying it, then why not?
Yeah.
One final one from me, Maxi. You had a little bit of a crowd there today. There was a few people coming over from Yorkshire.
Thank you to Eddie because they all turned up and they rung me just before the weigh-in started. They said, "Oh, look, mate, we're here, we're outside. They're not letting us in." And I was like, "All right, you know, no worries, lads." Like, but then when they announced the weigh-in, I was like, "Oh, they're all there. They're all there." And I says, "How have you winged it? Like, have you snuck in?" They went, "No, we're waiting outside." Eddie turned up, and one of my mates just said, "Eddie, we've turned up at weigh-in when they're not letting us in. And to be fair, he went, come in with me, lads. And he got them all in, like,
fair play to Eddie.
Fair
There
play
you go.
to Eddie. You know, it's an event, isn't it? We want that atmosphere in, and it was good to see him.
Yeah, well, fair play to you. You brought a little crowd over as well. You got the helicopter from Nice. And I should really speak about that. Let's talk about that. Now, let's forget it. It's a 40-minute drive, Nice airport to Monaco. How long was the helicopter?
7 minutes.
You've made it, mate. You've made it.
Yeah.
You must have made it. Listen, I didn't see anyone else get that helicopter. Come on. I don't think Eddie got the helicopter.
Special treatment, eh?
Listen, fair
Starting
play.
the week as I mean to go on in style.
Fair play to you, Maxi. Always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. And tomorrow night can't come quick enough because I know Gary very well. I know you very well. And the way this week's been with the two of you, it's going to be an exciting fight. And I'm just going to be a fan and I'm going to enjoy it. Maxi,
Well,
thank you so much, brother.
Cheers,
Appreciate
Andy.
you. Thank you.